national nonprofit media platform American Muslim Today. I'm Maya Gayler, standing in for Rifat Malik. Today we're diving into a fascinating and at times eyebrow-raising meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. Now, before we get into the heart of today's Oval Office meeting, let's talk about two things that dominated the lead up to this encounter. Trump's musing about Canada becoming the 51st U.S. state and the increasingly bitter trade war, particularly around tariffs. During today's meeting, Trump casually floated the idea that Canada could become part of the United States. He said, quote, "It would really be a wonderful marriage," adding that the US and Canada are two places that get along very well. He even pointed to the straight line that marks the border and mused that it was drawn with a ruler, implying it was arbitrary and ready to be erased. Prime Minister Carney didn't take the bait. He responded with a firm, "It's not for sale, won't be for sale ever." Trump, for his part, simply grinned and repeated, "Never say never." It was part reality TV, part diplomacy, and it left many in the room stunned or laughing nervously. But as wild as that comment sounds, the trade tensions between the two countries are far more serious. President Trump has imposed steep tariffs on Canadian steel, aluminum, and automobiles, citing American manufacturing interests. When asked today if Prime Minister Carney could say anything to make him lift those tariffs, Trump flatly replied, "No." According to Trump, the US doesn't want Canadian cars or steel anymore. He insisted the US is making its own and intends to keep it that way. Canada has responded with its own countermeasures, a 25% tariff on roughly $44 billion worth of U.S. imports. That includes goods and vehicles. Carney called the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Agreement, or USMCA, the basis for broader negotiation. But Trump seemed entirely uninterested in revisiting any part of it. And that brings us to the actual meeting today. The two leaders met in the Oval Office in what was described as a cordial but lopsided conversation. Trump kicked off with flattery and calling it an honor to host Prime Minister Carney. Carney returned the compliment, calling Trump a transformational president, which raised some eyebrows given the tensions in the room. Trump repeatedly hinted at a very big announcement coming in the next few days, but refused to give any details. That ambiguity is classic Trump. He loves the suspense and thrives on keeping reporters guessing. Throughout the meeting, President Trump dominated the discussion. He veered off into unrelated topics, including the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan and his general frustration with media questions about trade deals. At one point, he said he could, quote, "sign 25 deals right now," end quote, but insisted the U.S. didn't need to. Quote, "They have to sign deals with us," he said, describing the U.S. as a super luxury store where other countries need to pay to shop. Despite all the tough talk, Trump claimed the meeting was very friendly. But Carney appeared visibly boxed in. He made Canada's position clear when he could, pushing back on the 51st state notion, insisting on fair trade under USMCA, and stating unequivocally that Canada won't be bullied. One thing was also clear. Carney is using these tensions to consolidate political power at home. By standing firm in the face of Trump's provocations, he's rallying domestic support and positioning himself as a defender of Canadian sovereignty. To recap, today's meeting wasn't your average bilateral sit-down. It was a mix of showmanship, strategic messaging, and, at times, sheer unpredictability. Whether it results in any concrete changes to trade policy remains to be seen, but it did make one thing very clear. the US-Canada relationship under Trump is anything but business as usual. That's it for now. Thank you for joining me on Muslim Viewpoint. If you value our public service journalism, please support American Muslim Today, a 501c3 nonprofit, by following us on social media at American Muslim Today or donating at AmericanMuslimToday.com. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Until next time, I'm Maya Gayler.